Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. Today we're going to be making this sword. This one is going to be made with blue and gold and rose gold. Turned out kind of pretty. This will be the actual one we make in the video, but you could choose any other colors you like. Got some red ones that turned out really pretty, some blue ones, gold ones, but today we're going to do blue, light blue. So let's make it. Okay, to make this sword, you're going to need 3 pieces cut at 12.5 inches of the square 20 gauge wire. You're going to need 8 pieces of the 28 gauge, color of your choice. I'm going to go with gold, blue, and rose gold. You're going to need 3 gems, one at 8 millimeters pointed back, or a flat back would work for this replacement on this one. So that's the 8 millimeter, and then 2 5 millimeter pointed backs. I think the pointed backs would work better. I haven't tried the flat backs though on that. You're going to need 24 gauge of the half round copper wire. I put mine on a bobbin, which I love, but if you don't have one, I'm thinking it's going to take several plus feet, perhaps maybe 7 to 12. I'm not positive on that. You're going to need needle nose pliers, flat nose pliers, nylon pliers, and cutters. So let's make it. So we're going to start by finding center on these 3 pieces, and we're just going to bend them in half. So on this first one, you can make it pretty tight. Just keep it flat side up, because you know the square kind of twists sometimes. Just want to keep it nice, flat, and you can pinch this one as close as you can, like so. We're going to do that to all 3. On the last one, which is going to be the tip of your sword, you can pinch it tight, but don't pinch it too tight where you can't get the weaving wire through it. So more of just a little less snug, just enough to get a wire through it. Alright, so this one's going to be the point. And then you're just going to put them inside each other. Slide them down as far as you can get them. Like that. And then we're going to wrap these to pull them close together. I'm going to put like, if you got any scrap wire, I got this half round I used. I have lots of little extra pieces. We're just going to wrap it around. Snug them up nice and tight. And then I'm going to use my nylon pliers to flatten that down. And cut out these little extra pieces. See, a little keeper on there. And then we're going to measure down for the length of our blade. I'm going to do 2 1/4. So just slide your little keeper up to that mark. So you got 2 1/4. Like that. And so you can kind of tighten these up a little bit, just an easy press. Kind of snug them up. Ooh, but they will fold like that. Gotta be careful. Oh boy. So everything's slid down there pretty good. Got a good point on it. Make sure it's level. And then we're just gonna peel the outer two out right at the little keeper there. And this is when these flat nose pliers come in real handy for measurement wise, because we want it to match on both sides. So using your little flat nose, and notice the distance that you come in on each side, because they kind of widen as they go down. Using the same spot, we're just going to put like a little hard 40 in there. So holding it right there, and then we're going to push this down. So it creates a little detail. Flip it over. And then the same distance that you used last time. Just grab that at a 45. Push that down. So it looks like the same size. Okay, so on your flat nose, and hopefully you have a pair like this, I'm going to go about halfway through. I'm going to put it right there on the bend line, about the halfway mark, right up there in the corner. And then I'm just going to push that down, make another measurement. And then on this side, same thing, same position, as close as you can remember, and then push that one down. See how this will match? It should be level. Like that. And then you're going to grab your needle nose. You're just going to set it in there. Put the little corner piece right in that little bend that you have there. So it's kind of sitting at a 45. And then you're going to grab this wire and just go right around the top. Like that. Then you're going to grab your flat nose again. And we want it to go parallel right up this bar. So you're going to grab it about the distance of the fatness of the wire away from the edge of the bar. And then just bend that up. And hopefully it matches the side there. Ta-da! Alright, so then flip it over. Take your needle nose again. Set it down there in the lowest spot of your needle nose. Kind of to 45 again, like that. Right in the crevice there. And then grab that should match up pretty good with the last one. And started to get a slight little bend in it. You can just take your nylon pliers and flatten it out a bit. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to grab this little wire almost next to it, but just to space it enough that the wire can have room to bend up like that. Oops. Just a little squeeze, squeeze. Alright, and if we did that right, the measurements should be the same on both sides. I like it when that happens. I should put another little keeper down here because it's moving around. to hold it tight. Oh boy. You know, another trick you can do to tighten them up is you clamp them with this thing and then squeeze it. That tends to work better. They won't fold. Like that. But I'm going to pause. I'm going to put in a little keeper right here just to hold these from moving around. I'll be right back. Okay, so I put in a little keeper right there. Keep it a little stiffer. So now we're going to grab the next one. And you're going to pull it out to follow that line right here on this one. Kind of along here. You want to come along down here so you can hold it with your finger even and just move it around. And then when you get to right here, you're just going to pull it down over that parallel, like that. You're going to grab your needle nose again and position it the same way, all the way down to the bottom. Because this is what's going to hold the little gemstone. So when you got it like that, you're going to go around the top again. So you got 2 in there. But you can come just a little lower than the other one because it's going to stay on the inside. So it looks like that. It's matching the same line. Then grab your flat nose again. And you can kind of lift this out of the way just so you can see better. You're going to grab that little wire again. Just a little edge away from the straight middle ones. You want this one to go right up alongside. Like that. And then so we can't flip it over and do this. We've got to do it from the front because it's got to be over the top. So you're going to grab this next one. And same thing, you're going to match it parallel with this line. Just hold it with your finger and down with this line. And then over the top, just stage it right next to this one. Like that. And then you're going to put it through the top prong on the needle nose. Going to lay it flat in there, low as you can get it. And just hold it in there like that, and then come around the top. Keeping it down there. So it looks like that. Same thing, you can lift this one out of the way just a little bit. Grab your flat nose. Grab that. Grab that. Oops. Oh boy. Okay. And then again, just grab it just a little bit away from the straight ups. So that will be the inside wire. Alright, so those are the little arms. And then, since we have the pointed back, we're going to make a little bed for it. So you're just going to grab the 2 longest wires in the center. and you're going to fold them down, make like a 45 angle. That. Then grab your flat nose pliers and hold the little bed right there. See if I can get a good shot of it. And then you're just going to bend this back up. So it kind of looks like that. And then grab the top half of it so you can kind of critique it a little bit. Fold it in. And since it's the same distance now, you're going to push this down flat back where it originally was. So when you're done, you should have a little point for the little gem to rest. You can test it too. It just sits right in there. So it doesn't have to be too deep. Like that. Alright, so now we're going to straighten out these wires and put a little keeper on here. Grab some more scrap wire. And line these up so they stay where you bent them. And then just like 3 or 4 times is good. Make sure you definitely don't want them overlap like that. I think I wound it too tight. Right, I'm going to fix it. I'll be right back. Okay, so I put a little keeper here, and that'll slide off as we work. Same with these ones. They won't stay on there. They'll slide down out of the way. So now that you got to this point, on the back here, where this little divot comes out, if you got something pokey or if you got strong fingernails, we're just going to separate these two just a little. So I plan on grabbing them with the half round. So once you got them open a little bit, you can take your flat nose and just kind of open it up a little bit. Like that. So we're going to tie the half round on there. So you can slide this down a little bit. And then you're going to take your half round. And we're going to tie off back here. I'm going to tie off on the right hand side. And then we're going to go around clockwise. So when you want your flat side facing down. So grab that little just 2 or 3 times, even 1 or 2, because there's not going to be any, nothing's going to be pulling on it, so it shouldn't come undone. I'm going to go twice. Give it a little snug pull on there. That didn't work. Oh boy. There we go. Keeping it together down there. So like that. I'm going to slide it down now. I'm going to trim this off. Alright, now the fun part, we're going to add the ribbon. Alright, be right back while I got that. Okay, so I got my 8 pieces, and I'm going to make a color design. I'm going to do 2 gold on the outside, and then, and then 1 gold, and 2 blue. I'm just holding them in my finger and then sliding them in, trying to keep them right side by side. And then I'm going to do opposite gold on the other side of the blue, and then 2 rose golds on the outside. Just trying to keep them side by side under my finger there. And the best way is just to use your finger and just straighten them out so you get like a nice ribbon going. You could do all one solid color if it's easier, and sometimes the color is nice because you can keep track of your wires that way. You can see which ones you need to grab. So I'm just going to try to level them up down here a little bit and try to keep them in line. Once you get a nice little ribbon going, it's pretty straight, pretty under control. What we're going to do, look at that, it's already, these colors really do like to switch places quick. So your wire is about 8 inches, so you want at least like about an inch or so hanging off the tip down here and a little extra up here because we're going to use it for the handle as well. So then we're going to put it underneath this first wrap, and then just try to hold it flat as you can. We're just going to place it onto the blade bar there, just where it looks nice and flat. And then we're going to wrap it nice and snug. We're going to do that 3 times. Make sure your colors are still lined up, and then you're going to take your flat nose and press that down. It'll help hold it in there. And then try to rotate it to the blade is pointing to your right hand side. And you're just going to lift up all the wires. Try to keep them flat and together. And then we're going to wrap behind it 4 times, I think it is. Yeah, 4 times, and then press those little lines down. That's 2, 3, and it's twisted. Never fails. And 4. So you got 4 behind it, like that. Then you're going to lay your ribbon down. Make sure all these wires are pushed up as close as you can get it. We're going to go over the top twice, and then try to keep your ribbon centered in your blade. And if you have got way too much down here and not enough up here, you can still slide it through at this point. Real gently. And then we're going to go over two over the top. This is really going to pin it down, so you want to make sure that your wires are kind of centered. So you got some down here and then quite a bit up here. So you got two over the top, and then we're going to give it a little press. And hopefully it's still lined up. Alright. Keeping it straight as possible. It's almost impossible. Alright, now remember, you should just slide your little keepers down as you work. And eventually, when we reach them, we'll take them off. Okay, so then the next one, we're going to lift up all the wires again. We're going to go behind it. I think 4 times. Right, that's 3. And then one more is 4. And then what we're going to do here is you're going to lay the ribbon down. But we're only going to use the one outside wire on this side. So just kind of move it out and then like down out of the way. And then same on this side, the farthest outside one. Make sure you got the right wire. Looks like I grabbed the wrong one. So the 2 outside wires, we're just going to move them down, out of the way, and then grab those other ones and move them up. Like that. So just the 2 wires are laying there. The 2 outside wires. And we're going to go over those wires 3 times. Nice and snug. And just move them out so that the wires stay to the outer part. You can just kind of give them a little snug little pull there. Okay, that's 1. Keep your wraps as close to each other as you can. That's 3. And you can take your flat nose and give it a little press. Make sure the wires stay outward. And then lay the ribbon down again. Just to keep, kind of push those wires out too, because you want them to stay in line with the design. You don't want them to go under there. Okay, so with those 2 down and kind of out of the way, you're going to grab the next outer 2, 1 on each side. And just move those down. Just And take your time, make sure that you got the next wire over. And then move that one down. And then lift up the center once. And then these two will be laying right down the center. Inside these first two. And we're going to wrap that 3 times. Get them where you like them, and then just kind of move them. Kind of out of the way, but they're wrapped so they'll stay where they're supposed to. That's 2. And 3. Nice little press. Okay, then you're going to lay this down again. Lay your ribbon down so it kind of pushes those other ones out of the way. And then again, you're going to take your 2 outer ones, which looks like I only have 4 left, so it would be the 2 golds. Move those down to my 2 blue centers I'm lifting up. And then we're going to go 3 over those. Just kind of move them off to the side. Because when you wrap these, they tend to want to pull everything to the center until you flatten it. So you're just trying to keep them spaced out. That's 2 and 3. And then another little squeeze. And then run your 2 centers down the middle. Let's see if I can get a focus on that. Just creates a little point that goes down. And then we're going to go over the top twice of all of them. There's 1, 2. And you can kind of move these back to center again. And keeping those wraps nice and snug, real close together, so the back looks nice and tight. And then you can give this one a little press. I wish I could get a better picture of that, because the outside lines are gold, so kind of lose it in the shine. But let's move on to the next part. So you're going to want to bring your ribbon back together to center, straighten up your lines, get any kinks out, nice and smooth. And fold it up. After you get it all nice and straight, take your time so it's all in line. This one little keeper can come off. This one doesn't like to slide. Slide that one down a little bit. Okay, and on this next one, we're just going to do 2 behind it. There's 1. Tuck it up in there nice and tight. And 1 more. Okay, you got 2 under there now. And then lay your ribbon down. Make sure it's all nice and centered. Push it around with your finger. And then again, we're going to grab the two outside ones, one on each side, move it down, same on this side. So you're just moving them down out of the way. Gonna lift this ribbon back up. Keep these all nice and snug. And then we're gonna do two over the top of these two wires. Kind of hard to see, but they're just laying right there in their path. So there's one. And then see how sometimes they get kind of crossed, so make sure that they're off to the sides that they belong to, because it really does want to push them around. There's one, two, get a little snug pull, and lay your ribbon down. Actually, I can feel a bump there. I'm going to flatten that down just a bit. Then we're going to grab the outer two again. One on each side. Then lift up the ribbon again. And then we're going to wrap two more. Nice and snug. Don't overlap. Give a little press. Move these out of the way a little bit. Push your ribbon down. Looks like this little keeper's getting close. I'm going to go ahead and remove it so it doesn't want to slide. Okay. So did we wrap these ones? Good thing I'm paying attention. Okay, move these two kind of out of the way there a little bit. I'm going to lay it down again. Pushing your ribbon down kind of pushes those out where they belong. And could always give it a little press too. Alright, so again we're going to grab the two outside wires, which mine are gold so they're easy to spot. Move those down, lift up the two center ones, and then over the top twice again. So there's one, nice and snug, two, and a little press. Move these off to the side to make room for those center two. And then you should lay down right between the two gold ones. It really looks like just a thin blue line, but it's got a lot of more colors in there. Once we oxidize it, it will really pop. And then over the top twice. And bring your wires back together. This one seems to be a little softer on them. So we got 2 done. Okay. My wires are a little crossed, but you notice if you just do like a little shift, it kind of brings them back. So we're going to try a little detail on this next one. So you're going to take the center 2, which in my case is the 2 blue ones. And you're going to lay those down on the blade and lift the rest up. Just the 2 center ones right down the center. And then we're going to wrap over those 3 times. And then we're going to lay this down, lay your ribbon down over the top. Make sure all these little wires are pushed up tight. And then take the 2 outside ones. Like that. Just move them down. And then lift up all the wires, even those 2 center blue ones. And go over that 3 times. So the only 2 that are laying down are the 2 outside ones now. There's 1, 2, and 3. And give it a little smush. Move these out a little bit. And lay the whole thing down again. And then again, we're just going to grab the outside 2. Making sure that you are grabbing the outside 2. If you're using a lot of different colors, it might come in handy. So that one's the rose gold. And then lift up the middle 4. Make sure these are all moved down. And we're going to go over that 3 times. There's 1. 2, 3. Alright. And then the next 2 outside ones. And lay those down in the center. And just lift up the center 2. And go over those 3 times. Let's see if I can get a good shot of that. Like it makes it any better when you can see it, because it's just looks like a bunch of wires. So over that 3 times. make sure those are off to the right side. Making room for these center two to go down. And then over that one 3 times. Well, actually, maybe just let's go over that twice. And just give it a nice little squeeze. Gently at first, just to make sure your stuff's lined up. Sometimes you can spot something. If you have to, you can undo it before you really squeeze it down. Right on this next detail, we're going to do kind of the same thing. Going to lift up everything. You're going to leave the middle 4 down. So just pull, let's see, 2 outside wires up on this side, 2 wires on the outside. So he's got 4 wires laying down the center of the blade. These 4 wires are up, 4 outside wires. And we're going to go over that 4 times, pushing these little wires up as far as they'll go. Oops, 4, there's 2, 3, 4. So these 4 wires that are up, you can lay them down if you want. Just get them centered in the blade. Smush them around so they're nice and clean. And you're going to grab that 1 wire on each side. Kind of hard to see. And 1 on this side. And then move everything up. So you just have the 2 outside wires lying down. Just these 2. Everything else is up, even those center ones. We're going to go over those 4 times. Make sure you push your wires up tight. Don't want to run out of room. There's 1. And it's twisted somewhere. These work good for getting twists out. And it's still twisted. Alright, I'm going to fix it. I'll be right back. Alright, I fixed it. So we're going to do 4 wraps on this one. Make sure these don't get bunched up, twisted. Keep your wires as close as you can to each other. And you can lay the whole ribbon down again. Keeping them all lined up. Then you're going to grab the next 2 outer ones. And move them down just inside the last two that you did. Oh, it's so shiny. There it is. So you have 4 down. So you can move these back up. So the 2 that you just, those are going to be the next ones. Make sure nice and straight. And then over the top 4 times on that one. Once you got them locked in there, make sure your lines are close together. One, 2, 3. Keeping them as close as you can. 4. Now give these a nice little snug little pull to keep them nice and tight up here. Okay. So then you got 4. You're going to lay these back down. And again, you're just going to take the two outer ones, which on mine are the gold ones. This one, it comes in handy when they're colored. So you got 3 over here, 3 over here, and then you're going to lift up the 2 center ones. Go around that 4 times. And if you're running out of room, then don't do 4 wraps. Do less between each one. That way you won't get down here so fast. Just kind of drop a wrap. There's 2. There's 3. 4. We're getting close. Give them a nice little snug pull. And then using your fingernail, just slide the 2 blue ones up through the center. And then go over the top of that twice. Alright, so we can grab our nylon pliers and give it a nice little press, make sure everything's in line. Everything looks pretty good. Now the design looks tiny because you can't really see the gold yet, but once it's oxidized, it'll look a lot more colorful. Okay. So what we want to do now is lift the 2 center ones, just those 2. And these ones, we're going to cut them off as close as you can to the blue ones, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And just don't cut the blue ones. And then wrap once behind it, just once, then lay the blue one back down. And we might need to give it a little press just to flatten those cut ones down really good, so you don't really feel those. And then once over the top, slide your lines down, then lift up the 2 blue ones again, the 2 centers. Go once behind it, then lay down the blue line again, once over the top. Lift it up, go once behind it, lay it down, one over the top, keeping your ribbon centered. I think I can remove this from the bobbin. I think I'm going to cut off like 5 or 7 inches here. And then lift it up again. We're going to work down to almost to the point where we want it to stop. I think I'm going to stop it like about about 5 wraps from the end. So over the top, and then lift it up, go behind it, slide your wires up nice and tight, and lay it down again. And then go over. This helps secure the line too. And then it gives it kind of a cool detail. And then lift up, go behind it, and then lay it down. But when you get to here, obviously we're going to have to cut this line off. So go over the top of it, and then snip it off as close as you can. And then maybe grab flat nose and push it down. And then wrap a couple times. As low as you prefer. If you want a little point showing, you can. So I'm going to go one more, and then you want to go through this center hole. Nice and snug. And if you want to go to the other side, if you think that'll keep it from sliding, you can do that too. Just kind of lock it in. That should do it. And just snip that off. So you can take your nylon pliers and press it down. Looks pretty good. You can kind of detail with these a little bit. But it's really hard to see the details. Like I did this one, and it was hard to see until I oxidized it. But then it really comes out and pops with it. So I'm just going to have to wait to see the full design till the end. Okay. So now we're going to put the stone in, and the 2 little side stones. Be right back. Okay, so we're going to add the stone. So if you lift your ribbon up, and you kind of got it straightened out a little bit here, you're going to pull forward and make a good little dent in the wire, just to try to push it down in the bed a little bit that you created. Just kind of pushes it in there and out of the way. Nothing too extreme. Just kind of sits down in there. And then you're going to grab one of the little pointed backs, the little 5mm, and you're just going to slip it right into that little holder there. So it's just sitting between the two. Probably should tie the half round back first. It might fall out, but if it does, we'll just put it back. So we're going to be starting on this side and running across this way from this corner up. So we're going to tie off back here, and then you're going to have your half round flat side down. So I'm just going to move this ribbon out of the way so I don't catch it. And flat side down. Same thing on this side. We're just going to wrap that little bar here once or twice. Keep it down low. So now you'll be looking at the flat side here. Now I'm just going to trim that wire. Don't cut your 28 gauge. Okay, so a little bead stayed in there, a little gem stayed in there all the time. Okay, so you're going to grab your 8mm and you just push that ribbon back down low in the bed there. Put this out of the way. Oops. So with it just sitting there, curiously, just pushing it down through the ribbons, trying to get it to sit in the center, just like that. Perfect. Get in there. These ribbons aren't cooperating. Usually I have them low enough that the gem doesn't even touch it, but sometimes it just wants to be a little difficult. So once you get it centered in there, you're going to go from this bottom right hand corner over to the top left hand corner. You're going to go around the back, over the front, and down in the bottom left hand corner. So it looks like an X, but that's not how it's going to end up. So keeping it snug, you're going to come up behind the left hand side to the top left corner. Push these lines tight. And this X that you got going is going to slide up a little bit here. Oop, too far. And this one's going to come down to the corner here, down to the right hand corner, around the back, so you're in the bottom left hand corner. You're going to come up through over to the top right. So you'll have some like this kind of pattern going on. Make sure it's nice and snug. And then down behind the right arm there. Keep them all close. And then back over the top. And then you can just move these little lines around just a little bit to show off the center. Like that. Holds it in there pretty good. And then keeping this little side arm as straight as possible. Oh, let me have it now. Oh, good. Let's just check it. So make sure this isn't twisted. Just gonna wrap this arm. Keep it as close as you can. Feels like it's twisted, but it's not, I guess. And just keep going till you get out there to your little gem. Keep the wraps really tight though, so they don't slide around. Get nice and snug. Make sure your gemstones lined up nice in there. The nice little shell. It's all twisted again. Always does that. Oops, almost there. Remember to slide these down. Nice and snug. And I like to wrap it till my wires are on the edge of the blue gem so you don't see any air gaps through there. And then I can cut off maybe like a 4-inch tail or so. So this is how close I am. And you can kind of see a little bit of gap there. I'm going to go around it again until I like how it looks. And then that holds the gem in real nice too. It's a nice snug fit. So if you like that, you don't want to cover up any more of that. You want to go to the back side and then try to get around. Like you can kind of see like a little gap right in there. You can grab that arm, which is, I don't think will show from the front either. Let's try it. So just one or two should be plenty, because again, there's not going to be anything pulling on it. And I go through once more. And I'm just going to trim it and then tuck that back behind the stone. Apparently I gotta use these. Let's just push it out of the way there. So that's one side. Let's got this down in there. Kind of move it around. Alright. So now we're going to do the other arm. Okay, looks like it's pretty good. Oh, and you can smooth these out with some nylon pliers if you want. Or you can keep the roundness. Alright. So it's getting there. Alright, come right back. Okay, so now we're going to do the other arm. So we're going to put our little gem in there. So you're just going to separate these a little bit. And then put that little gem in there like that. So it just kind of holds it in there a little bit. And then I spaced these out a little bit just because they were kind of pinched together when they were down there. So if you take your flat nose pliers and just kind of press that bar down nice and flat, make sure it's not folded up, and slide your little keeper up a little bit, just up out of the way. You're going to grab your half round again, and you're going to go behind your wires. We're just going to fold it around the back. Doesn't need to be a huge tail on it. This top part will be folded down behind it, so that will hold it in there good. So I'm not going to even wrap it around a small bar, because it's going to go over here and wrap around this arm. So you're going to come back around the front. You'll have one wrap, and then we're going to come down on this arm here next to the gem to start. And we're going to do the same thing as we did on the other side. We're just going to wrap around this bar till we get out to the gem. See if I can just spin it like this. Oops, don't like that. Maybe I'll try the other way. So I'll just fold these down out of the way. And do this left-handed. Keeping them pushed down and nice and snug. I could probably cut it from the bottom, but I just don't want to cut it too short yet. Let's get closer. think I'm going to cut it now. Let's see if I think I twisted it pretty good. Alright, got a little kink in it. And then you just want to match it to the other side. How close you got to the gem there. I think that should do it. And it's twisted. What? There it is. Sorry about that. It's just easier to do where I can see it. So that looks pretty even. I think. Yeah. So I'm going to tie that one in the back too. I'm going to just tie it to the top arm there. Seems to be the easier grab. And I'm just going to snug it up real nice. Probably wrap it again. And this little piece that was in the back, you can just cut it off in the middle. You won't see it once we pin the top back. Just press it down a little bit. And I think I'm going to pull this one tight. And go ahead and cut that one as well. Oops, dang it. I don't like it when I get a... I'll save that little piece for later. Okay, so there's the second arm. And now we're going to slide this little keeper up. And now we're going to determine the height of your sword handle. So it's just kind of personal preference depending on what size sword you did. I'm just going to grab it. You can grab a pen or just it's got to have enough room where you can slip the chain through it. So you can do a larger, circle or a smaller one, as long as you can get the chain through it. I'm going to use this little paintbrush handle. And I'm coming up maybe an inch. And just folding it down. And again, this is just personal preference. You can do any height you want. Let's see what this one is, because you can kind of still shrink it a little bit. That's about an inch on the money. But just see, this one's a little shorter and this one's a little bigger. So I'm just going to go with this. So just come straight down the back. Try to keep them squared up. So we're somewhere like that. And then you're going to want to you can slide this keeper down even farther. You can slide it down to like there. Just to kind of keep them together. It kind of helps And then we're just going to try to bring the back together. Slowly press them together. If you can get these in there without messing up your gem or your wires. You might want to bend your wires forward a little bit so you can grab. Take this out of there for a second so you can kind of grab these, bring them together a bit. Now if you can leave this in there, that's better because it holds the shape of the pail better. And then do that. Go between your wires so you don't scar them up, because the wire will remove the color off of the 28 gauge, or the colored copper. And then when you go to oxidize it, it'll just turn it black or dark. So we're kind of just shaping the back like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. Ooh, it's got a good grip on there. Let it go. Alright, so we got something like that going on. Something you can get your chain through. And if it's a little crooked, you can use these to kind of pull them up. Right. So on the back here, now that you got them where you want them, it kind of looks a little, I guess that's pretty straight. You can slide these off. Then you're going to lift up the middle two up out of the way for a second. And you see these four? Well, we don't want them there. We're gonna trim them kind of behind here, but down here, because we're gonna just put a little bend down and turn them into the gem a little bit. So cut them right out of sight. I'd say like right about there. Even just a little shorter. And trim those four. So it looks like that. Then you're going to grab your needle nose pliers. You can do 2 at a time or all 4 if you can grab all 4. And then we're just going to put a little bend down on them, just enough where you don't feel them. Nothing too drastic, just a slight little bend down. Like that. Because once we wrap this, it's going to push those into the handle and you won't even feel that. So now it looks like that. Alright. So while we have it like this and these 2 pieces are loose, we're going to grab our half round and we're going to tie off on this right hand side because it's going to wrap around to the front. So we're just going to put a couple wraps on this one. And when you start it, don't wrap this side, wrap the bottom side here so it doesn't overlap. So just 1 or 2 will be good. Like that. And then just slide it up out of the way for now. Slide it up to the above the arms. And give it a little snug pull to keep it. So it's gonna work. Actually, let's cut this little tail off too, because that's just gonna push the wires. Okay, so it looks like that. And then slide it down to where it's like parallel with the arm, because that's where we're going to start. And then once we do these little side guards. It might pinch it in there good enough where you can't slide it, so I guess it's good just to start there. So then move your half round up and out of the way. And what you're going to do is you're going to take these two and move them to the, keep them in the center, like hold them here, but then move it to the bottom corner right there like that. And same on this side, move it to the bottom corner like that. And then rotate it to the front. And then again, keep your half round up and out of the way. So we're going to create the little guards that you see on the side here. And you can do 2 wraps. I've done 4. Kind of like the 4. If I have enough, I'm going to do the 4. Okay, so stay close, hold the back nice and stout. And then come up close to the gem. And over the shoulder. And back down. Same on this side, hold the back. Come up close to the, and push these wires. Sure there. And down, around. So it looks like this. And then too, like if you want to make them a little fatter where they come down a little lower on the guards, you know, but we want to kind of taper it down so it kind of goes into like a little, they get smaller as they go. So next one, come up beside it. Try not, you know, control the tightness of the circle. We can critique the spacing afterwards. So it looks like that. There's 3. I think I'm going to go for 4 as long as it finishes in the back. And you can take these 2 to kind of push them down so they get smaller. And I'll finish that one in a second. And then again on this side, kind of just copy. And then, you know, for your spacing, you can use these flat nose to push them around a little bit. Just kind of critique the distance, and then, like I said, you can smoosh them down a little bit. Change the size of them. Oops, that's a little tight. And when you got them where you like them, you're going to take your needle nose pliers, flip it over, and you're going to cut them kind of like the bottom third. So kind of like that. The other one's kind of there already, so I don't need to trim it. And then you're just going to turn it down on to itself, just like a little bend down. So it doesn't, you won't feel it, or basically even kind of disappears in there. And then on this other side, you can do the same thing. So you might have to trim it a little bit. So it's about 2/3 the length. And just grab it and just turn it down. Try not to pull the wires. It'll tighten your circle too. Just kind of tip it down so you don't feel it. So there's the little guards. And then again, you just go back and critique your spacing to where you like it. Make sure they're all straight up and down. Flatten them up a little bit. You could even line some color in between there if you wanted to add some more color. Alright. So back to our twisted half round here. And just flattening this out. My nylon pliers are so used that if I don't grab it in the right spot, they don't even grab it. Okay, so you're going to straighten out your wires as they're probably pinched in there. So slide your wires down as low as you can get them here. And we're just going to go over the top once just to try to press these wires out a little bit. Use your thumbnail to kind of flare them out. Try to get them back to their original shape. And then fold them up. Maybe this will help too. And then we're going to go behind it 4 times. There's 1. 2. 4. And see how it's kind of alley-whacked up here. Just take your needle nose pliers and square it up like that. And then we're going to take these 2, one on this side like that, and the same over here. And then take your flat nose pliers and just kind of like where the circle stops, you're just going to kind of flare it out a little bit like that. Same on that side. So you just kind of got a little detail there like that. Then we're going to lay our ribbon down. Try to flare it out again with your fingernails. Push these down. So you're going to take the outside wires, just one on each side, move them out of the way and down, lift the middle ones up. And I'm going to see if I can try to do 4 down, depending on the height of your sword, because we're going to do 4 all the way up to here. But if you did a little shorter, you might want to just do 3 wraps over the top if you have a short handle. You know, kind of have to space it out. I'm going to do 4 wraps over the tops of these 2 wires. And it's twisted. Alright, once you get 4 on there, just going to lay this back down just to see how the lines are laying. And I'm going to grab the next 2 outside lines. Move those down. Move these 4 up. And I'm going to do 3 over the top of these. Just inside the last 2 that we did. Did I say 3 over the top? I'm going to do 4 over the top. Now if you're already up on these little loops, you're not going to want to wrap over those. We're going to go up to the bottom of those loops. So there's 1. Twisted again already. Oh my goodness. How many is that? 3? Oops. And 4. Alright, so we're getting closer to this loop, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut off like 2 feet. At least. So it looks like I could do a couple in there. So I'm going to move the 2 gold ones out of the way, the next 2. Move the blue ones up. Lay the gold ones down the center. So there's 1. Oops, I hope that's not loud hitting the camera. Usually is, but it doesn't sound like that on my end. Try not to hit it. Okay, now if you're getting to the point where you're getting close to your little circle here, what you're gonna do, since we only have 2 wraps, we're gonna go through the center loops. And you're gonna come out between that last bar and the 3 middle bars. So you're going to the side, that way you won't see any break in the line from the front. Be a solid line. So I went through there and came out this between these 2. And I got 2 wraps over this one. You still want to keep them separated so that the blue ones can go right down the center. So we got 2 more wraps to do. Another thing you can do too is you can pull these out of the way just a little bit so you can work in there, because you're going to be working around those 3 center ones now. So you can just move them out of the way a little bit. We can push them back later. So you got 3 over here, 3 over here, You're going to come down as low as you can. And this time you're going to go, just going to wrap the 3 middle ones. So you're going to go through. The wire keeps twisting. Just through the 3, around the 3 center. But around all your wires. Like that. Making sure your lines are still straight. These are down low. Get a little snug pull. And is that 4? This would be 4. So we're going to go through the center. Just do the 3 again. See if I can focus on these. So now we're going to lay the blue ribbon down to the center. Pushing them down through those gold wires. Oops. I'm just trying to push my wraps down close to it. So now we're going to wrap over these ones. I think just twice. We'll try to push them down low. Keep your blue ones centered there. And then go through just the center 3. Or go around behind, through the loop though. Make sure your blue ones are centered and then snug it tight. Like that. So the back is wrapped. And then center, pull all your wires together back to center. Snug that wire up tight. See, like if you don't keep them in the center, they'll move around. You want them between the gold wires. Once you got them in between the lines that you like them, you can take your nylon pliers and press down, start low. Just a gentle press, make sure they're all in line. And I notice if you push from one side, it pushes your wires that way. So you almost want to do it from both sides, same pressure, just to kind of keep it an equal amount. Keep them in the center there. So we're going to go around the top of these twice. Just to pin them down nice. Nice and snug. So it looks like this. And then you're going to fold your wires up. And then we're going to wrap behind it 5 times. Just going to wrap these 3 bars. So I'm going to wrap it 5 times and come back just to save a little time. Once you got the 5 wraps behind it, you're going to fold your ribbon down over the top of them. And then wrap over the top of that twice. just 3. Or you could just do once. Let's just do once. So just wrap it once, pull it nice and tight, slide your wraps down low, straighten out your colors, center your ribbon, and then you're gonna lift the ribbon back up and do another 5 behind that. But take your time that your colors are lined up. They can twist in there, it's not a big deal, but if you want it to look straight, and then do 5 behind it, and I'll come back after I got 5 on there again. Got another 5 on there, and you can just fold your ribbon down over the top again. Then we're going to go around that once, and then we're going to continue this pattern until we get down to about here, and I'll come back, because then we're just going to wrap it, cut the wires, and then wrap it again inside there as tight as we can get it. So I'll come back when I'm right about here. So you're just going to do 5, and then a single wrap, and then 5 behind and 1 over the top, and then keep your ribbon centered and your lines colored lined up, and I'll be right back. I've reached the back. I'm going to wrap around these at least 3 times before I cut them. So it does get a little tricky when you're down here, and you know, you can still pull these away gently so you can get around those. Oops, sorry about that. So I'm going to wrap this 3 times. I mean, even if you hook it, you can just move it down below. Once you get it around the 3, then you can just maneuver it. I'll try not to hit the camera. What? Interesting. There we go. Okay, so you get 3 good snug wraps on there. Push everything nice and close. You're gonna lift up your wires. Grab your cutters and cut them close to your wraps. That. And then if you can get your flat nose in there, just gonna try to flatten them down. Or if you just have to press them, if you can't get it in there, just press them down. And then you're gonna try to, you know, go over those as many as you can till you get to the point where you can't get in there anymore. But just wrap it down there as low as you can get. I'll be right back. So I managed to get a few more wraps in there after the cut. Kind of holds it down nice and clean. And then I'm just going to snip off this extra wire here close to the edge so I can get it, so you can't feel it. And then we're just going to push these back to where you like them. And then just, I don't know if you can get your needle nose in there. You can flatten these single wires, kind of flatten them down a little bit. If you can get them in there. Do it from the other side. A little critiquing, a little detailing. You know, that. And there it is. So let's oxidize it and see what that looks like. That looks pretty clean, pretty straight. The little gems are in there nice. We'll be able to see the design better too once we oxidize it. I was noticing that I actually I overlapped my wires right there a little bit. Don't know what that's going to look like, but it happens sometimes. But it looks pretty good. Alright, so oxidize it and I'll be right back. Alright, it's oxidized. It looks pretty good. It's different looking. It kind of reminds me of ice. Really pretty. It's got some cool highlights. And I did overlap a little bit here, but you don't really even notice that much. A little minor mishaps don't seem to show, and the top looks really cute. And this is just one color option. I mean, I made some others that are really pretty too in different colors. The red is really pretty. And then, you know, once you get more comfortable, you can do all different kind of designs, you know, like different little patterns and stuff. But I really appreciate you guys watching. Thank you for all the likes and the subscribes. Means a lot. Really appreciate it. Stay tuned for more crazy designs and wraps. Until then, you guys have a beautiful evening. Thanks again for watching. Till next time.